Hey everyone, Spencer here with SB Mowing, and I found this house at the very end of a cul-de-sac. The grass was getting crazy long, the sidewalks were crazy overgrown, and I thought I might be able to help out.
This is Spencer, the guy who runs $1 million lawn care empire on the internet. Millions of people call him an angel, but it's on this same internet that a wave of skepticism surrounds him. When you see him doing a good deed on screen, what's your first reaction? Are you moved to tears? Or do you quietly search for proof that it's all staged? Forget what you see on TikTok. This is the truth behind the price of kindness. The boy who knocked on doors in Wichita. To answer the question of whether Spencer is an angel or a talented actor, we can't look at his viral TikTok videos. We have to go back in time to a point when the name SB Mowing didn't even exist. It all started in 2009 in a quiet residential neighborhood in Wichita, Kansas. Back then, Spencer was just an 11-year-old kid with his dad's old lawnmower. There were no cameras, no audience, and no million-dollar donations. There was only the scorching Kansas summer sun and the thorny bushes that scratched his hands every weekend. Those were the days when mowing a lawn was purely a lesson in hard work, long before it became digital content that would attract millions. Spencer's motivation back then was simple. He wanted to be useful. In neighborhoods where even adults were hesitant to tackle overgrown lawns, the 11-year-old boy found pride in single-handedly solving the problems others ignored. That was the recognition Spencer craved. Not from a global online community, but from the very neighbors who smiled when they saw their yards looking tidy. By high school, the job was no longer child's play. Spencer convinced his younger brother, Jack, to join him, and the two maintained a schedule of 25 lawns a week. He saved up to buy his first second-hand zero-turn mower, hauling it with an old trailer. Clients spread the word. The sound of Spencer's mower became a familiar hum in the neighborhood. But even as the business grew, Spencer hit a wall that many people don't know about. His college entrance exam scores weren't high enough. He missed the scholarship deadline for Kansas State University, the school he dreamed of attending. While his friends were getting ready for college, Spencer had to retake the test and then retake it again, spending months just to improve his score by a few dozen points. The K-State Scholarship Committee took notice of his application. They saw his steadily improving scores, combined with a lawn care business he had built himself since he was 11. And they made an exception. Spencer was awarded a full 4-year scholarship despite his late application. That decision from K-State would change everything. The lawnmower and the laptop. Spencer majored in computer science. He received the prestigious Putnam Scholarship, lived in West Hall, and worked as a resident assistant to help first-year students. In the evenings, he sang in an a cappella group called Cadence. On paper, he was a model student. But there was one detail that even Spencer's roommates rarely noticed. Every weekend, he would drive 2.5 hours from Manhattan, Kansas, back to Wichita. Not to visit family, but to mow lawns. He didn't want to abandon any of his old clients. The elderly women and men who had been paying him since elementary, middle, and high school. They trusted him. They waited for him. And Spencer, despite being a programming student at a major public university, still arranged his schedule to make sure not a single one of their lawns was neglected. After graduating in 2021, Spencer landed a remote programming job with a company in Chicago. The salary was stable. The job didn't require him to move. He could stay in Wichita, live with his family, and start building the future that every computer science major imagines. The problem was, Spencer wasn't happy. After a few months, he realized something unsettling. After a day of writing code in front of a screen, he felt nothing. But after an afternoon of taming an overgrown lawn and seeing it become neat, he felt a sense of accomplishment. Someone was happy. There was a physical change he could point to. In August 2021, he stumbled upon channels like Lawn Care Juggernaut, Top Notch Lawn Care, and Phil's Lawn Care. They were posting videos of lawn transformations on YouTube and TikTok, and their view counts were in the millions. Spencer thought, I can do that too. That week, he picked a terribly overgrown lawn. He mowed it for free, filmed it with his phone, and posted it on TikTok. The first video hit 7 million views in just a few days. The second hit 5 million in its first month, eventually climbing to 14 million. There were no ads, no marketing campaigns, just a guy, a lawnmower, and a neglected yard. Spencer made a decision that shocked his entire family. He quit his programming job. He explained it with a single, practical sentence. "I'm not married. I don't have kids. I have savings. This is the only time in my life I can take a risk like this." By early 2023, he had transferred the entire mowing business to his brother Jack to focus 100% on creating content. SB Mowing, once a small Wichita business, had become a media channel growing at an exponential rate. But it hadn't yet become the phenomenon the world would soon know. That would happen on a January morning in 2025 when Spencer's phone rang. Beth and the lawn no one would touch. The caller was a friend of Spencer's who worked for the city of Wichita. She knew Spencer often helped with difficult cases. This time, she had a name. Beth, 85 years old, lived alone, and walked with a cane. Her yard was completely out of control. The city had already sent her a warning and was about to issue a $240 fine if she didn't hire someone to clean it up. She couldn't afford it. She had called multiple services. Not a single one would take the job. Spencer drove over to see it for himself. Beth's yard wasn't a yard anymore. The grass was nearly shoulder-high. Vines smothered the fence. Bushes grew so close to the door that Beth could barely get from her house to her car. Amidst this scene, the old woman emerged with her cane, looked at the stranger standing at her gate, and said a line that millions would later remember. "My prayers have been answered." Spencer worked for an entire day. He cut the grass, cleared the vines, trimmed the bushes blocking the walkway, and cleared a wide space around Beth's car so she could get in and out easily. Inside, Beth sat by the window and cried. She cried when she heard the sound of the mower, cried when she looked out and saw her familiar patch of earth slowly emerge from beneath the weeds, cried because, for the first time in months, a stranger had come and done something for her that no one else would. When Spencer finished and invited Beth outside to see, she could only manage 2 sentences. "Your work makes me twinkle." Then she looked at him and added, "I wish I had something for you." Spencer just replied, "I just want you to be happy." He filmed the entire process, took it home, edited it, and posted it to his channels. It was a video just like many others he had made over the years. He wasn't expecting anything special, but this time things spun out of his control. $893,000 in 1 week. The video of Beth went viral. Comments poured in with the same question. How can we help this woman more? Can you really just help her once and leave? Spencer started a GoFundMe campaign. He set a modest initial goal, $100,000, enough to repair her driveway, install a wheelchair ramp, replace a few broken windows, and hire a recurring lawn service for Beth. He thought even that figure was ambitious. Within 24 hours, the GoFundMe surpassed $500,000. By the end of the week, the total was over $888,000. The number continued to climb, eventually stopping around $893,000. More than 35,000 people had contributed. What was remarkable was that the vast majority of donations were between $5 and $50. This wasn't money from a few large investors. This was money from tens of thousands of ordinary people, each pitching in a little. When Spencer sat down with Beth and told her the number, the old woman just repeated a single phrase. "Why me? Why would people do this for me?" Spencer held her hand. "They kind of fell in love with you and your story. It was the most beautiful moment of the story. But it was also the exact moment that another wave began to form on the internet. The first critical comments appeared on Twitter and Reddit. Why does Spencer always stumble upon the most tragic situations? Why does every video feature an elderly woman crying? Were the tears edited in post-production to heighten the emotion? Did he actually get permission from the homeowners before mowing and filming? Or was this just a sophisticated form of exploitation? And the harshest question of all, How much does Spencer make from these charity videos? The numbers were exposed fairly quickly. According to multiple estimates in 2025, Spencer earns around $60,000 a month from YouTube ad revenue alone. His estimated net worth is around $1.5 million. The SB Mowing ecosystem has a combined following of over 25 million across all platforms, a number more than 11 times the entire population of Kansas. To the skeptics, this was proof. A young man making hundreds of thousands of dollars a year by filming society's most vulnerable people. A touching story packaged as viral content. A business model built on tears. For Spencer, it was a difficult week. He received millions of thank you messages, but also read thousands of accusations. The joy and the pressure arrived at the same time. The question was no longer whether Beth got the help she needed. The question was, who is Spencer, really? The evidence from before Beth. When People magazine, the New York Post, and KQ News investigated the story, all the basic facts were confirmed. Beth was real. The city of Wichita's warning about the lawn was real. The GoFundMe's financial records were transparent. Spencer even hired an estate attorney to set up a trust fund for Beth, not to hide the money, but to protect her from scammers who might target an elderly woman who had just received nearly $1 million. But what truly dismantled the doubts wasn't the press. It was Spencer's history. The Beth story wasn't the first time he had raised a large sum of money. It was the third. In 2024, during a trip to Corpus Christi, Texas, to film winter content, Spencer found a severely injured cat in an overgrown yard. He stopped what he was doing and used his phone to call 4 local animal rescue centers. All 4 refused to help. Finally, the 5th shelter, Edgar and Ivy's Cat Sanctuary, took the cat in. Before leaving, Spencer learned the sanctuary was on the verge of closing due to a lack of funding. He started a GoFundMe with a $10,000 goal. The campaign ended with over $200,000 from nearly 6,000 donors, along with truckloads of cat food, medical supplies, and other goods. The sanctuary decided to name one of its new care wings the SB Mowing Community Wellness Center to recognize his act. Before Beth, there was another story about a man named Mark. Spencer cleaned up his yard, started a GoFundMe, and raised $10,000 in a single day. Most telling was the incident involving Harrison Butker, the kicker for the Super Bowl-winning Kansas City Chiefs. Butker invited Spencer to the stadium, gave him a signed jersey, and offered to donate $10,000 to SB Mowing. Spencer turned down the money. He explained that his channel already had ad revenue and that Butker's money should go where it was needed more. He suggested Butker wire the money to Smorgascoris, a barbershop chorus group Spencer belongs to that teaches music to children in the community for free. He also mentioned Learn to Earn, a program that teaches kids lawn care skills so they can earn their own money. Butker didn't send the money the way Spencer suggested. Instead, he decided to donate $10,000 to all 3, SB Mowing, Smorgascoris, and Learn to Earn. And there's one more detail, perhaps the most important one, that often gets overlooked. In podcasts, Spencer has explained that he and his wife, Andrea, spend 5 to 10 hours every week just driving around Wichita. They go through neighborhoods, noting the addresses of the worst-kept lawns, and then choose the 2 or 3 most difficult cases. Only then do they knock on the door. He doesn't stumble upon tragic situations. He actively looks for them. Every single week. More than a lawn. Spencer's journey from age 11 to today is an unbelievable trajectory. The boy who once knocked on doors with his dad's old mower is now the man behind a movement that has spread beyond America's borders. On TikTok, the hashtag #PayItForwardMowing has appeared, with thousands of people voluntarily mowing lawns for their elderly neighbors for free. They film it, post it, and inspire the next person. Beth's story, in a way, answered the very question she asked. Why me? Because tens of thousands of people, when they saw her, saw their own grandmother, their mother, the elderly neighbor they hadn't called to check on in months. But this story also raises a harder question, one that few people want to answer. Why do we need a man mowing lawns on TikTok to remember that our own elderly neighbor needs help? SB Mowing is not a charity. It's an entertainment channel. Spencer earns real money from ads, sponsorships, and merchandise. He doesn't deny it. In interviews, he's direct. I found the best business model. I get to do what I'm good at. I get to help people who really need it. And I get to provide entertainment for millions. He doesn't sell his story as a sacred mission. He sees it as a job that just so happens to create good in the world. Perhaps the most frightening thing about this story isn't whether Spencer is real. All the evidence suggests he is. Beth is real. The GoFundMe is real. The cat sanctuary is real. Harrison Butker is real. The frightening thing is that we, in the year 2025, have become so cynical that we even have to ask the question. When we see someone doing a good deed on the internet, the first reflex for many is no longer to be moved, but to be suspicious. Every act of kindness is dissected. Every tear is assumed to be staged. Every philanthropist is suspected of having a hidden motive. Maybe that's a healthy sign, as the internet has seen too many scams, too many beautiful stories that turned out to be lies. But it also comes at a price. The price is that when a true story comes along, we've almost lost the ability to believe it. Spencer can't control that. He can only control what he does next week. Another lawn, another stranger, another door to knock on. What do you think of this story? Do you believe Spencer is a true angel, the best content creator of our time, or both? Have you ever witnessed or done an act of kindness that surprised you with the reaction it generated? Leave a comment below. Sometimes, a miracle doesn't start in heaven. It starts with a lawnmower blade in Wichita, Kansas.